Hello everyone, welcome to Piper's Notes. I'm Piper and this is my dad, and today's a very special episode of Piper's Notes. Today we have a very great author, mother, and singer. I've been waiting for her to get on the show and I'm finally excited that she's here. Welcome, Amanda Palmer.
Sure. Aloha.
How are you doing?
I'm losing my mind, but I'm good. I'm really good. I'm in my little converted garage office here in my Airbnb in New Zealand. There's Ash's drum set. There's my borrowed piano from a neighbor. And there's my laundry out there. I don't know if you, wait, hold on, let me unplug the computer. There's the laundry, the dancing laundry. So beautiful. I could just watch the laundry all day.
That's awesome.
And beyond the laundry are my chickens that I got for lockdown.
That's cool. Well,
So,
we're
I'm
so
good.
appreciative of you hanging out with us. We won't keep you very long, so we'll just jump right on into it.
Go for it.
Okay. So, you're one of the most creative people I know. You inspire me to be creative, and I take dance lessons and do voice lessons, and there's this app called Gotcha Club where like you create these anime characters and then you put them into a story. And so I'm having writer's block with that. So how do you overcome writer's block when you have writer's block?
Well, can you explain your writer's block to me a little bit? Like what's happening or not happening?
So you make a story and I don't know what to make a story about.
You make a story like for a pre-existing character or a character that you created?
You create your own character and then you create a story with it.
Yeah.
Kind of
So
like animating.
So here's my question. Is it that you can't come up with any ideas, or is it that you come up with ideas and you think maybe they're too silly or too stupid or not deep enough or not good enough?
It's both.
Yeah. So what I have found is that it's like, I don't believe that writer's block really exists. What I think is that we spend a lot of time judging ourselves, thinking that like our ideas just aren't cool enough. So it's not that you're not getting ideas and it's not that you have a block. It's that the ideas are coming, but like there's a lot of judgment around them. And I deal with this a lot when I write songs, right? Which is like, you know, I want to remind you, this is always a good story to bring up, which is I thought Coin Operated Boy, when I wrote it, was too stupid to play for people. Like, and I really thought that. That's not a joke. I was like, oh, it's like, it's so silly and like dumb. And like, I think it's funny, but people won't think it's funny or they won't get it. And my band is serious. And so when we put together the song list for our first record, when the Dresden Dolls like literally made the list, Coin Operated Boy wasn't on it because I thought it was not cool enough.
I love Coin Operated Boy.
A lot of people love Coin Operated Boy. And then I got over it and I was like, ugh, you know, let's just include it because we played it live and people seemed to like it. And that became my band's most popular song. So I wasn't right about the validity of my own idea, you know, and what you've got to remember is that like, the more you allow your ideas to just come and exist instead of like prejudging them all away from you, the better you'll get at just practicing being a writer and being an artist and being a person who made things. There's no rule that everything you make has to be absolutely amazing and perfect out of the gate. And in fact, some of my favorite artists have like unlistenable records like that I don't want to listen to, but I'm just so impressed that they were like, I don't know, I made that. And here it is. And now I'm on to the next thing and I'm on to the next thing. And I'm not going to just sit there in a state of fear trying to make everything perfect for all people, because that's never going to work. So my advice to writers is always just like, write something that you don't consider great. Get an idea and be like, oh, it's kind of a weird idea. I don't know if it's going to work. Some people might think it's stupid, but I'm just going to do it anyway. And if it doesn't work, who cares? Like, just keep making something. Just put it out there instead of thinking that it's got to be all tied up with a perfect bow and really impressive before you give it to the world, because it doesn't.
That's good. So, moving on. So, I've heard that you admire Judy Blume. And you're a great writer yourself. You have a best-selling book, The Art of Asking. Did you think about writing any children's books?
Yes. I've been writing stories for Ash every day. When we walk to school, we walk by all these houses, and every day we make up a story. I make up like 99% of it. We make up a story about why each house is haunted.
I love it.
And here's the thing, on theme with our last topic, they're not great stories. And I find myself even like judging my storytelling to my 4-year-old, because I'm like, oh, what a stupid idea. Like, whatever, this witch turns into a piece of pizza. That's not great. But I just like, I have that muscle where I can go like, it doesn't matter. He's 4. It's fine. Just like whatever thought comes out is fine. Sure, the witch turns into a piece of pizza. Sure, nothing actually scary happened in this haunted house. Sure, it doesn't matter. He's 4. Just do something, anything, whatever. And I've thought a lot about doing a children's like album with my friend Jason. I've thought a lot about doing a children's book. I've thought a lot about doing a lot of things, but guess what I've been doing for the last 6 months? Nothing! The pandemic, and all I've been doing is taking care of my 4-year-old and making sure that like my staff doesn't starve by just getting my few projects out on Patreon. So I haven't had time to do, excuse my French, here's a quarter. Yeah, it's just been like, it's been a real backlog over here in art world. I have 80 billion projects that I want to do and not a lot of time. So, but children's book is on the list. Someday, yes, when Ash is like out of college.
This may be a weird question. Most of our viewers actually come from the world of pro wrestling, and you're from New York, and you're raised in New England, which is the heart of WWE country. And I just am curious. I have no clue about this. Do you have any? Like, were you ever a wrestling fan growing up at all?
No, I don't know anything about wrestling except through, of course, Cyndi Lauper. So
Right.
she, like, actually reading, have you read her memoir?
No, I haven't. I've heard of it. I've not read it.
There's a whole section of her memoir about wrestling, and like she kind of stumbled into the wrestling world. And they you know, they embraced her, and so she embraced it, and it was just one of those like, why not moments in her career, and she just went with it. But it actually, like, I have a real fondness for it from afar. It reminds me of like other stuff that I'm not really into, but I look at it from afar, like metal, and I'm like, I love it. It's like the music doesn't really do it for me most of the time, but I love the community because they're so awesome. And I sort of feel the same way about wrestling. It just seems like an awesome community of weirdos, and that's great.
That's right. And that's kind of what our mission is on this show. We try to get out here. One is to give her a creative outlet to engage the culture, but also to show the world that pro wrestling is a legitimate form of performance art, just like dance and drama and other things. So I appreciate those words.
Art Decider says it's art. It's fully art.
My absolute biggest passion is Broadway, and my dad has like been listening. Me and my dad have been listening to Evelyn for like forever, and for the longest time, I thought Evelyn was a Broadway show.
In our minds, it is a Broadway show.
I know.
In our minds.
Well, did you like mean for it to kind of be like a Broadway show? Because yeah.
I mean, we wrote it to basically be like a concept album musical. And when we toured it, because we toured it for, I don't know how long we toured it for, 3 months or something. We toured it all around the States, and then we toured it to Europe. And the show had a plot. Like, I don't know if any of his, I don't think it's up on the internet. We did film a couple of the shows, but like there was a stage manager, there was a stage boy, there was a gun, there was a death, like, and it was basically like, you know, it was a mini musical. It was like the sisters on stage, and this like Svengali stage manager who was keeping them sort of enslaved and doing this stage show, and then at the end of the show they murder him. And it was funny. I mean, it was a really funny stage show, and we've actually had a few people come to us over the years and want to make it into a musical, and we're busy.
Right, but you would.
On the pile of, like, we'll get to it someday.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it. What's one of your sorry, I have to blow my nose. I have a snot coming off my nose. What's one of your favorite musicals? Tell me.
Hamilton and Phantom of the Opera.
Yay!
That was actually her next question. She was going to ask you, why are yours the Phantom of the Opera and Hamilton?
Well, so Phantom has never been one of my like top favorites, but I started listening to it in lockdown with Ash. I forget why. Something came up, and there it was. And Ash got really into it for a while, and then we watched the film, which I had never seen. And, you know, I saw the musical when I was like 12 and loved the soundtrack so much. And I spent a lot of time in lockdown, especially after Neil left, like thinking about Phantom of the Opera and what it is about that story that makes people so attracted to it. Like, what is it? Like, why that story? Why is that the story that people just love so much? And I really marinated in that. And I also really, like, started listening to the music more carefully than I ever had, and, like, listening to the themes and the keys and the leitmotifs and going, like, oh, this guy really is an amazing writer.
I just think it's like the Phantom is a misunderstood guy. You know, he's not. You know, it's kind of like Darth Vader. You know, he's misunderstood.
But he's also he's like also a shitty person.
Uh-oh.
Think of me fondly when we've said goodbye. Remember me once in a while. Please promise me you'll try. We never said all of us. I've never actually played that. That's how fast I am. It's a pretty simple 1-4-5 song now.
So are you team?
Someday I'll do Phantom of the Opera solo piano with all my other projects that I don't have time for.
Are you Team Raul or Team Phantom?
Oh, I don't know. I'm Team Art. I mean, I feel like that is the yin and yang of life. And don't be so binary, Piper. I'm Team Christine. Liberate her out of that story. Don't make it all about like which man is going to win the woman. Write a new story. Bad story. Bad story. Great music. Bad story.
I think like people like Phantom of the Opera so much, including me, because like no one's ever done something like that before.
It's pretty amazing. And it's a
true.
very like
it's lightly
gothic
based on
story.
a true story.
I know, and it uses all these classic gothic horror tropes. And my favorite musicals, if you want to know, Hair, West Side Story, Evita, Jesus Christ Superstar, and Three Penny Opera, too. Going back to old school, like Brecht and Weill. If you don't know them, school her. Get her some Brecht and Weill. That stuff is amazing. And I also really love Little Shop of Horrors. That's a good one. Basically anything where people aren't singing vibrato. I'm pretty like I'm more into the rock operas.
That's cool.
This is a good musical too. It's Six.
What's that?
It's Six the musical. It's about the 6 wives of Henry VIII.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I had friends in London who saw it and were in it, and yeah.
So going back to pro wrestling, you are aware that our favorite promotion is National Wrestling Alliance, right?
She probably is not aware of that, but she might be. But it's the promotion that's owned by Billy Corgan.
Okay.
Did you ever get into the Smashing Pumpkins at all growing up, or?
You know, it's funny. I kind of missed that by a few years and degrees because I was never like grunge kind of lived in another department, and everyone always told me that I would like love the Smashing Pumpkins, but I sort of missed it. I also missed Nirvana. I didn't know who Kurt Cobain was when he died. That's how like out of the loop I was.
Right.
So, you know, but in retrospect, those albums are beautiful.
You kind of touched on this earlier when we asked you the question about children's books, and you talked about telling the ghost stories. One of the things that I guess that I like about pro wrestling and rock and roll and even baseball is like they're all rooted in a ghost story, like Robert Johnson and the Crossroads Experience, and pro wrestling originated in the traveling carnivals and freak shows and that kind of thing. And then, you know, baseball, we have no clue how that started. We think there's a billion, but they're all rooted in shadows. And it seems like there's something about your music that's always been, not everything, but there's always been sort of a very peculiar, a darker, kind of a spooky element to it, especially like when we get to Evelyn and some of the, I mean, do you find a lot of meaning in the there it is.
That's my Bela Lugosi imitation.
Oh, I love it. So you like the darker themes and that has meaning to you, and you express that quite a bit in your music.
That's true. That is true. I mean, I've always been very attracted to the darker emotional, like the darker and more emotional the art, the more it attracts me.
It even seems like with the dread, like Halloween seems to be, it coincides with a lot of like the beginning of a Dresden Dolls tour or the end of a tour.
Well, we met at a Halloween party at my house. That's how Brian and I met. So, yeah, I mean, Brian and I share a deep love of theater, and we share a deep love of performativeness, and you know, we both really saw the release in that, like as kids and as teenagers who felt very trapped in our environments. Like theater and music was an exit door, and you know, that's what we wanted to like give back and provide for our community, was like more doors out.
Right.
So continuing with the theme of Halloween, do you like scary movies?
No. I generally do not. I like a good psychological thriller. Like there's certain scary movies that I love so deeply that I will watch them again and again. For instance, one of my favorite movies of all time is Silence of the Lambs.
Oh gosh.
I just never get sick of it. I watch it like clockwork every couple of years because I just love it so much. And I love the cinematography, and I love the script, and I love the acting, and I love the music, and I love literally everything about that film. But like I can't handle gore at all, and
Preach.
I find like that the older I get, the less time I have for anything disturbing in my brain. So yeah, I can handle a little bit, but mostly if anything is violent, I stay far away from it.
Yeah, when I was like 3, I loved The Walking Dead. But now I'm like, no, I don't want any scary movies. I don't want any.
Yeah, well, Ash is obsessed with scary things and zombies. He's very into zombies, and he's very into, you know, the villains of Star Wars, and he's very into like monsters. And I think that's a really healthy phase.
Yeah.
Is be attracted to what freaks you out. So I don't discourage him at all.
one of my favorite interviews that we've watched a lot of your stuff, and we follow you on YouTube and all this stuff, and you do this interview where you're at Amoeba Records, and it's like, what's in my bag? And in it, there's this scene where you talk about your 8th grade Holy Trinity, and you have like REM's Green and Depeche Mode's Violator, and I was really expecting that third one to be Disintegration, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
So it was another one. I looked at it. I wasn't familiar with it. I was surprised, but I'll have to go back and find. But it wasn't Disintegration, because I know how much The Cure means to you. And
I mean, that album was the album. It probably was because Amoeba gave us like 15 minutes to grab a bunch of records.
Yeah,
and Disintegration up front.
Will you comment on I got to see you at the True Colors tour in 2007 at Chastain Park in Atlanta with Cyndi Lauper and Erasure. Erasure is one of my big three with The Cure and Depeche Mode. And I went and got my album signed by you, and I mentioned to you, I was like, you're not the female Robert Smith. Robert Smith is the male Amanda Palmer. But I would love for you to comment on what Robert Smith means to you and how he's influenced you.
Can I show you my desk calendar? Robert Smith is, one of my big songwriting influences. And I listened, like I had a heavy diet of The Cure from when I was about probably from 13 to around 16. I was listening to The Cure most of the time, every album. Mm-hmm. And that was sort of like the lead up to Disintegration, which came out in 1989, and then I kind of veered away as a fan, and I mean, I'm still a fan, but I became less of an obsessive fan around the time Wish came out. But every single song that Robert Smith wrote, and he was is such a creative songwriter, is imprinted in my heart and is like in my card catalog of, fundamental DNA songwriting possibilities. And they were such a weird band. I don't think The Cure ever gets enough credit for being as experimental and as genre careless as they were. And, they really got pigeonholed into sad synthy goth band. And I'm like, sure, some of the songs, but have you listened to the top? Right. Have you listened to their whole catalog? Certain albums don't even sound like they're from the same band. Robert Smith was a real weirdo. And I love that about certain musicians, that if you trust them, you'll just go anywhere with them. It doesn't matter where they go. And I felt like that about The Cure. I was like, take me anywhere. Take me anywhere musically, take me anywhere lyrically, I will just follow you. And, I think Bowie was like that, and Bjork is like that, and there are certain musicians who are like, I don't do a genre, I just do music, and do you want to come with me? Let's go do some art. And I feel that way about my own output. I get ideas and I do them, and I don't try to ever stick to a particular script. I more just want company on the journey, which is also why Patreon is so great for me. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but do you want to come? Right. Great. Let's go to a place. Let's make a thing. I don't know. And that's such a liberating and I think essential thing to feel as an artist, because it is not the way the art and the music world is shaped. Most musicians feel that they have to find a thing and find a gimmick and find a branding angle and then do that thing and sell it to those people and make their money. And it's you can do that, but it won't feel amazing. You will feel like a product if you do that, and you'll feel like a product enslaved to a consumer. But if you instead find a way to make an agreement with a bunch of people where you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do, I'm going to think something up, will you come with me? then you can feel like an artist. You can feel like a person who's allowed to just get ideas and getting back to our first question, Piper, like, is my idea good? I don't know. Does it matter? Will people come with me even if it's a weird, crazy, not even attractive idea? Like, that's where the real power in art and writing is. And Neil understands this too. Like, artists who are like, I don't know, it's not like anything else, but I'm still just gonna do it because I want to. That's like it's a different way of thinking about and making writing and an artistic offering, which is not like, will they like it or will it sell, but more like, wow, this came out of my head. Look, I don't know. Like, let's look at this thing together. And, if you choose a life as an artist and you want to be a writer or you want to be a songwriter or you want to be an expresser, it's almost like you have to choose which way you want to be. Do you want to try and make things that you think people will like and buy, or do you want to be an artist?
Right.
And one is a lot scarier than the other, but a lot more fun.
Right.
Yeah.
This is normally the point in the show when we do a fan reaction song, and we're cool to do that, but we're trying to be respectful of your time. I think we've got 3 or 4 more questions we wanted to ask you. So if it's cool with you, I'm cool with just skipping the fan reaction video. It's the love song, and
I'll do a really quick reaction.
Okay.
Okay.
That part's over.
I think we both agree that as great a song as that is, and it was an anniversary gift to Mary, it's definitely not the best song on the record. I love Last Dance and Same Deep Water as You. Those are my favorite songs. Plain Song is just sublime. Just beautiful.
That's it. Yeah.
Sublime.
And Untitled.
The thing about the love song music video looks like something from The Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah, never understood it. One of the real endearing things about Robert Smith is like oftentimes in his concert he forgets his lyrics, and I think that's because
he's written a lot of songs.
His catalog's so big. Now your catalog is getting really big, so I'm just curious: are there times in your concerts where you forget your lyrics?
Oh yeah, all the time.
So because of that, we're gonna have an Amanda Palmer quiz for the Dresden Dolls.
Oh no!
Like a finish your lyrics quiz.
Great. Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
And feel free to sing it if you choose to.
Yeah.
But you don't have to.
Okay. So first,
I should have brought a water.
This bridge was written
to make you feel smitten.
Exactly. It's
From that song.
Yeah, it's half biology and
half corrective surgery gone wrong.
Yeah.
It's my favorite song, by the way.
That's a great song.
Love it.
There is this thing keeping everyone's lungs and lips locked.
What's the next line? There is this thing.
It is called
fear, and it's seeing a great renaissance. And oh my God, is that true right now?
Absolutely.
My friend has validation and some allergies.
Say it again.
Okay. My friend has some validation and some allergies. Well.
Oh my God! Incorrect lyric. Did you get that off the internet?
No.
I read it wrong.
It's written correctly here. I promise you.
My friend has allergies, rickets, and maladies that she dates back to the 17th century.
Yeah.
Runs in the family. Second favorite song, by the way. Love it.
So play your favorite cover songs.
Especially if the words are wrong.
Boom.
Don't tell me if you get another girl, baby.
Just tell me if you get another car.
Yes!
That's her favorite song, by the way.
Oh my God, you guys should get Brian on the show.
He's coming. He's coming. That's how we lured you on. Or how we lured him on. We lured him on by saying, hey, Brian, Amanda's coming. So you got to come.
Awesome. I don't want to put you under pressure, but do you have any what is it called again?
What are you asking?
Music that you secretly.
Oh, guilty pleasures.
Guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure.
You have Beaver Fever.
I do not have Bieber fever. Well, first of all, I don't believe in guilty pleasures. I think that's stupid, and I think we should not ever disrespect where our heart is leading us in terms of the art that gives us pleasure. I just think that that's a terrible way of thinking about it.
And by the way, we always bring guests around to that point that you just made. That's the point. That's
so true. But I do have maybe some surprising pleasures. I love ABBA.
Oh.
I love Avril Lavigne's second record. The whole thing, tip to tail. You know, it's not quite up there with Disintegration, but I deeply love it. I deeply love it under my skin. I love that record so much. And I think those are probably the two most like surprising things in my in my record collection. People are often surprised to hear that I really love jazz too. And I was raised, especially in my teen years, I studied jazz. I was in a jazz improv group. So I really, really love Thelonious Monk's piano playing. He's actually like a big influence on my style of piano playing. And I always forget to mention him when I talk about musical influences. But if you listen to his songwriting and then you listen to like songs like Girl Anachronism or Runs in the Family, like you can hear how his style of piano playing really influenced my style of piano playing, the like really percussive, tritone, dissonant way of writing. And that's just something that people never really put together until I show it to them and they're like, oh yeah, I kind of see that.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, even like what do you call it, Brecht, punk cabaret, you know, those coincided with the jazz movement and everything, you know, and so what would surprise me, well, really nothing would surprise me about you, but if you'd come out here and said, you know, I love the Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac. That's what I love.
I do love NWA, and I'm trying to think of like a recent unexpected pleasure, but I've been listening to music with Ash so much that like I haven't heard a lot of new music. I've just been listening to like kid music 24/7 with him, but like good kid music. Mostly we listened when he was 2 and 3, all we listened to was the Beatles. I was like, that's a good bedrock fundamental, you know, and he loved it. And he had taste. Like I would put other stuff in and he'd be like, no, the Beatles. It's the Beatles.
Okay, so my heart is racing for this one. So I have one last question, more of a dream request. Would you like to sing a few lines of a song with me?
Yes, which song?
Start it off.
It's hard enough to know where you're really supposed to go.
When you're looking for a friendly place, I'll take you to another place.
Move your lips to speak,
but you like you're afraid.
it's a struggle just to stay alive.
Five journals burning in a
Burning
fire. Oh, I'm so sorry you didn't see Evelyn live. You would have loved the show. We had a big I Just Want My Space sing along with the whole crowd, and both Evelyns held lighters up the whole time.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It was good.
Miss Palmer,
it was our birthday 4 days ago.
What?
Yeah, Evelyn were born on September 11th.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right.
And every year, Jason and I text each other happy birthday.
Wow. Well, Miss Palmer, thank you so much for your time. You've been so gracious, and in our tweeting back and forth, I've told you that you're venerated in our household. We love and respect you, and we just want to put you over. And where can our followers find you at on social media?
I'm everywhere at Amanda Palmer. I just joined TikTok.
Do you want to say a word about your Patreon, where they can support you at financially? And
Yeah, I mean, if you want to join my Patreon, that is the best way to support me and stay in touch with me. I'm actually trying to move slowly away from things like Facebook and Instagram because I just think it's crap. So joining my Patreon is great. I'm also just about to launch my podcast in about 2 weeks, and that's all going to be patron funded. And I'm going to do an interview a week, and that's going to be really fun. And there's a book club element of it. And the Patreon's cheap. It's $1 a month. So that's where I'm encouraging everyone to head if they want to actually support me and stay in touch with me and support all the people I work with. And it's easy to find. Just Google it, Patreon and Amanda Palmer.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Hey, rock on. We love you. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Send our greetings to Ash and to Brian and to Neil and to everybody.
I will. Bye, guys. It was
Bye-bye.
great to talk to you.
Take care now.